Now while you're watching this video, please remember to like, subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon for notification of future videos, and share this video also. Thank you. Yes guys, hello there, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to look at the final part of my CRG series, that is CRG Spliced. Yes, this is the final part. I have done 2 parts so far, and so this is the final part. In the comment section I'll show where the original CRG is coming from, of which this is a spliced version of. I'll put the link in the comment section, and also I'll put part 1 and part 2, right? So this is part 3 now, where we'll be talking about CRG, the 10 commandments, right? Where the three greatest passages in the New Testament that shows that Christians are no longer under the law or under the 10 commandments, right? I've done C, which comes from 2 Corinthians 3. I've done R, which comes from Romans 7, and now we're at Galatians, right? This comes from Galatians chapter 4. Now Galatians chapter 4, right? It speaks about a bondwoman, right? And her son. The last part of Galatians 4 said that we should cast out the bondwoman and her son. And that bondwoman and her son is Hagar and Ishmael, right? Now before I even talk more about Hagar and Ishmael, which I will do in this video, I'm going to show you the spliced version from the original video, where I give my exposition on Galatians chapter 4. After which we'll discuss a bit more about it, and then we'll close, because there is an important truth in it that you can learn from, right? And I'm doing this spliced version because in the original video I combined Corinthians 3, 2 Corinthians 3, Romans 7, and Galatians 4. So I could not go deep into each of them because of the length, because of me trying to control the length. But when I'm doing spliced version of them now, I can say what I didn't say in the original video, right? So with that being said, have a look at it. Yes, now Galatians 4 verse 21 to 31, it reads thus: "Tell me, you who want to be under the law, do you not listen to the law?" Right? Do you not listen to the law? That is you Sabbatarians and those who promote diets and Sabbath and all kind of stuff. You who want to be under the law, do you not listen to the law? Right? For it is written that Abraham had 2 sons, one by the bondwoman and one by the free woman. Right? But the son by the bondwoman was born according to the flesh, and the son by the free woman through the promise. Now the bondwoman mentioned here will be explained who that is, and the one of promise, right? Verse 24. This is allegorically speaking. For these women are 2 covenants, one proceeding from Mount Sinai, bearing children are to be slaves. She is Hagar. You understand? So that is Hagar, Mount Sinai. Hagar represents Mount Sinai, and she is that covenant. Notice it said 2 covenant, and she is that covenant. What was given at Mount Sinai? The 10 commandments and just about the Torah. The Torah represents the Sinaitic experience. So that is what Hagar represented. You understand? Now this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia and corresponds to the present Jerusalem, for she is in slavery with her children. The present Jerusalem is in slavery even up until now, because many of them haven't accepted Jesus. They don't believe in Christ. They don't believe. They don't accept the gospel. You understand? They still establish law and everything, so they are still in slavery even centuries after this has been written. You understand? But the Jerusalem above is free. She is our mother, right? For it is written, "Rejoice, barren woman who does not bear. Break forth and shout, who are not in labor, you who are not in labor. For more numerous are the children of the desolate than of the one who has a husband." Right? which is Christ. And you, brethren, like Isaac, are children of promise. So this Isaac, no, is a children is of promise, while the other one is children of the bondwoman, which is Hagar, and Isaac would represent Sarah. You understand? Now, Paul is saying to the Galatians, who are Gentiles, by the way, that you, brethren, like Isaac, are children of promise. This means you are not the children of the bondwoman, Hagar. You understand? Which represent Mount Sinai, where the covenant was given. You understand? And that covenant, 10 commandments and the whole lot of them, the laws and everything, all of it is considered the Sinaitic experience. You are not of them. You are the children of promise. You understand? Like Isaac. But as at that time, he who was born according to the flesh persecuted him who was born according to the spirit. So it is now also. And I'm going to explain this to you. There has been strife between Ishmael, that is the child of the bondwoman, and Isaac, the child of the free woman, the child of promise. There has been strife between them and Israel. You understand? The nation, what sprang from Ishmael's seed, has been at constant strife with Israel. You understand? Or with Isaac. But that's for you to research, That's a whole lot of biblical stuff and thing that we can't talk about in this video. You understand? So just as how they persecuted Isaac, so it is now. And how do they persecute us now? Trying to give us the same Sinaitic experience, the law and so forth. Because if you read Galatians, the entirety of Galatians, is basically to talk about the law, and saying you are not under the law, etc., etc., and things like that. Because the Jews was always pushing the law on the Gentiles. And this is why Paul said, so it is now. They are persecuting us Gentiles. You understand? And even after Paul has written this, centuries after, you still find them persecuting us up until this day. Not the Jews now, You understand? But fraction of professed Christian who still is in Judaism, those persons are persecuting us who are children of promise by trying to force the law down our throats. You understand? So this is what Paul is actually saying here. And when Paul is talking about law here and covenant, it's not talking ceremonial. You understand? Because what was given at Mount Sinai wasn't ritual laws alone, but your quote-unquote moral law as well. It's the entire thing Paul is talking about. Now, what does he say? What does the scripture say? Verse 30. Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be an heir with the son of the free woman. Right? So then, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free woman. Now, let me explain this. Right? He says that you should cast out the bondwoman. Right? Now, when the bondwoman has been casted out, Abraham never saw Ishmael. You understand? Again, after that. No. There was a complete disconnect. Now, you could read Hebrews chapter 8, verse 6 to 13. Verse 13 will tell you that the covenant has become obsolete. Reading from the NASB version, and that covenant is the same 10 commandments. The old covenant, when Hebrews 8, verse 6 to 30, verse 6 to 13, Hebrews 8, right, speaks about the covenant, right? When God said he's going to write his laws on our hearts, and the covenant is not going to be like then and so forth. No, that which is becoming old and obsolete is ready to vanish away. That is what the text read. I'm just quoting it out of my head here. You understand? That which is old and new covenant. When he said a new covenant, he has made the first obsolete. But whatever is becoming obsolete and going old is ready to disappear. Seventh-day Adventists say here that the covenant spoken of here, you understand, is not the 10 commandments. You understand? And that God is going to write the 10 commandments on our heart. It is the 10 commandments that is written over on our hearts. But if that's the case, why did he say it disappear? In verse 13, if it is on our hearts, then it hasn't truly disappeared. You understand? And why say only the 10 commandments? Is the 10 commandments alone solely represents the whole covenant? No. It's a part of the covenant. When you continue on the verse and read verse 19 onward, chapter 9 and read onwards, it says, now even the first covenant, our old covenant, had regulations of divine worship and an earthly sanctuary. And it lists out the things that is contained or is a part of the first covenant. There was a tabernacle prepared, the outer one, in which were lampstands and the table and the sacred bread. This is called the holy place. Behind the second veil there was a tabernacle which is called the Holy of Holies, having a golden altar of incense, the ark of the covenant covered on all sides with gold, in which a golden jar holding the manna and Aaron's rod which budded, and the tables of the covenant. So the tables of the covenant, is actually the 10 commandments, are the very words of the covenant. You can see Deuteronomy 9 verse 7 to 15 and Deuteronomy and Exodus 34 verse 27 to 29, where this is concerned, that the tablets of the covenant is the very words of the covenant. You understand? Are the tablets of stone one and the same thing? 10 commandments. That is the covenant that constitute the old covenant. You understand? I'm not taking it out of context, I'm reading it here for you so that you can see. It lists out all the things, and notice it doesn't state only the sanctuary services that is a part of the covenant, speaking of Hebrews 9 here. But it mentioned the tablets of stone too as well. It's a part of the covenant. It's one entire system. You cannot disconnect 10 commandments and the ritual, the so-called ritual ones, are the sanctuary stuff. You can't disconnect it. All of it is one and the same thing. You understand? So when Hebrews 8 verse 13 said that which is becoming old is ready to disappear, or that which is obsolete is ready to disappear, it is the entire system. It is the entire system. If you say it is these ritual things, you cannot, because Hebrews 9 gives you no opportunity to say it's the ritual laws. No, because it includes the tables of the covenant in it as well. When it talks about first covenant, verse 1, it mentions even the tables of the covenant as well. You cannot say that this first covenant disappear and you're going to say the sanctuary services disappear, the rituals and so forth, and yet still the tablets remain. No, you'd have to let the Bible tell you that even though this disappear, the tablets remain. You cannot. You have to let the Bible say that. If the Bible doesn't say that, then you're basically you're going by an assumption and mere feelings, which is unwarranted. You understand? So this is what I'm saying. This is three I gave you, one from 2 Corinthians 3, one from Romans 7, and one from Galatians. 3 New Testament passages. 4 actually, including Hebrews. You understand? That tell you that Christians is no longer under the 10 commandments. It's the old covenant that was rendered obsolete according to Hebrews 8 verse 13. Christians are now to serve in a newness of spirit. You understand? By the ministration of the Spirit. That is what we go by. Serving in newness of spirit according to Romans chapter 7. Don't remember which verse, but you read it there. You understand? Under the ministration of the Spirit according to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. I end this video and I apologize for making it long, but nevertheless, I do hope that you are edified by this video. Keep these things into your heart. You understand? The CRG, New Testament's 3 admonitions against the 10 commandments. Now, as I've always said before, like, comment where necessary, subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so that you can receive notifications whenever I make new uploads. And last but not least, share this video with whom you know will benefit from an amazing video like this. Bye bye now. Yes, so there you have it, guys. The spliced version of CRG, right? And the final part. Now, read Galatians chapter 4. As you would have seen, I explained to you and I show with irrevocable proof that the 2 covenants, the old covenant that it is speaking of, it is the 10 commandments, right? and it is likened unto Hagar and Ishmael. Now, to properly understand what Paul is actually saying in likening the Old Covenant, 10 Commandments, right, to Hagar and Ishmael, one has to go to the actual story of Hagar and Ishmael, right? Now, God had given Abraham and Sarah a promise, right? Telling them that they shall have a son in their old age. No, God gave the promise. God gave the promise to Abraham, right? That he was going to have a son in his old age. Right? So the promise was given to Abraham. But Sarah, she got disgruntled. That is his wife, of the fact that she could not give birth, or she didn't give him a child, right? So what Sarah did, is to basically allow Abraham to go in unto her maid, right? Now, Abraham, because of his own lack of faith, right, hearkened unto his wife. That's his lack of faith at that time, because you see, the thing is, persons believe that Abraham was called the father of the faithful, right, out of the blues. No, he was not always of so strong a faith. He developed to that point where his faith became that strong. You understand? So he didn't instantly have that strong faith. It was something that he developed. He wasn't always that faithful, right? This is something that you have to know. So Abraham, in his lack of faith, hearkened unto his wife, right? You find that in Genesis chapter 16, and went in unto his maid. And the Bible tells us that in Genesis 16, it tells us that he went in unto Hagar, verse 4, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her sight. That is the NASB I'm reading from. The NLT says, but when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress Sarah with contempt. Right? And then in verse 5 it says, I'm going to continue. In verse 5 it says, and Sarah, NASB, said to Abraham, May the wrong done me upon you. May the wrong done me be upon you. I gave my maid into your arms. But when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her sight. May the Lord judge between me and you. Right? And then Abraham said to Sarah, behold, your maid is in your power. Do to her what is good in your sight. So Sarah treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence. Right? So Sarah treated her harshly, and she fled from her presence. Now, there is something I want to note, right, where this is concerned. You notice, I'm still reading from it, so just give me a minute here. You notice, that Sarah was the one, who basically told Abraham to go going onto her maid, right? And now when things start to go bad because of her own decision, right? Pardon the noise, guys. When things started to go bad because of her own decision, she then started to blame Abraham. Right? So Abraham's household was now in disarray, and he now is basically getting the blame. You want to know what basically happened? The mistress became a curse and a snare unto them. Right? The mistress became a curse and a snare unto them. Yeah, the mistress became a curse and a snare unto them, right? Now, the Bible in Galatians chapter 3, right, before Paul even gave this analogy, right, saying that he should cast out the bondwoman and her son. In Galatians chapter 3, Paul did say that the law says, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things that are written therein. That is what the law says, right? So once you don't continue in all things that is written, then the law is basically going to curse you, right? And no one does everything, no one keeps the law perfectly, right? And so as a result of that, the law then is basically deemed as a curse. And Paul went on to say that Christ has become a curse for us, right? Because it is written, curse is everyone that hangeth upon a tree, of which Jesus was hanged upon a tree. So he took the curse of the law, right, and put it upon himself, right? He took the curse of the law and put it upon himself. And lest one would want to say that the law being a curse, it is talking the ceremonial law. This is not true. For Paul says, curse is everyone that continueth not in, that is the law, what the law says, and this is what Paul was quoting from the law. Curse is everyone that continueth not in all things that are written therein. That is both what they call ceremonial and what they call moral. Right? So the law spoken of in Galatians chapter 3, it is all of it. All 613 laws. It's not talking one section, right, which they would make out of the text because they still want to uphold law, right? So Paul is saying, by giving this analogy is in Galatians 3, that the law is a curse, right? And then there's another thing that we should note. The reason why that happened to Abraham is because of his lack of faith. Paul said in Galatians chapter 3 that the law, it is not of faith. And isn't it interesting, right, that Paul used the analogy of Agar and Ishmael. Sarah, Abraham, Agar, and Ishmael. Isn't it interesting that Paul used such an analogy? Because we find two things from Agar and Ishmael. They're a symbol of, we find two things from Agar and Ishmael. They're a symbol of Abraham's lack of faith. Right? Isn't it interesting how the law is basically likened unto Agar and Ishmael, and it is said that the law is not of faith. Paul didn't just use that for no reason, use that analogy with Agar and Ishmael for no reason, It's because it fits perfectly in demonstrating how the law is not of faith. Because Agar and Ishmael is a symbol of Abraham's lack of faith. Also, Agar and Ishmael is a symbol of the curse of the law, because the act of going in unto her became a curse unto Abraham and his family. Right? So this is why Paul says, what says the scripture? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for she shall not be the heir. Right? Cast out the bondwoman and her son. So when the bondwoman is now cast out, because that is the son came out of as a result of an adulterous affair, right? Because Abraham went into to Sarah, to Agar, and that is adultery. So it is an adulterous relationship, right? Hence why it is said to cast her out. Have no relationship with her, right? So once she is cast out, and the son, there comes a disconnect between Abraham, right, and them. There's a disconnect between faith. Abraham is called faith, the father of the faithful, and the bondwoman and her son is likened unto the law. So cast it out, because law and faith cannot work together. Have no relationship with her. That adulterous affair that you have, or that you had with her, cast it out. Right? Don't let her come in the midst. Right? So what we are learning from this, is that anyone who chooses to be under the law, or specifically the Old Covenant, 10 Commandments, what have you, you're in essence having that an adulterous relationship, so to speak. right? You're having an adulterous relationship with someone, right? And not only that, you're taking up a curse on yourself. That cursed woman, Ishmael, right? You're taking up that curse upon yourself, and you're showing, right, what you're doing. You're putting yourself in problem, because Hagar and Ishmael represents a lack of faith, right? It represents the law, right? So, and law and faith cannot go hand in hand. So you put yourself in problem, right, when you seek to go under the law, right, or under the 10 Commandments. So my appeal to Seventh-day Adventists and everyone who promotes the law, Torah, Old Covenant, right? Cast out the bondwoman and her son. Do no longer have that adulterous affair. Get yourself from out of that adulterous affair, Hagar and her son. Right? For if you don't do this, there is no way that Christ can come into your heart. Right? He's our husband, and I'm very certain that he wouldn't be pleased knowing that we are having an adulterous affair. Right? Take heed to this, Let's get divorced. Take heed to this, lest Christ will divorce you. Right? If he finds out that you're still having an adulterous affair with that woman, Hagar. Now, there is something that I want to say, right, before I even close. The law is also called a burden, because notice immediately after Paul came off that subject of the law in Galatians 5, he says to stand fast in the liberty where Christ has set you free. Be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Remember now in the law, right? He's speaking of the law there, that it's a yoke of bondage, and the law is R613, so that would mean that the 10 Commandments is included, right? Don't be entangled again with that yoke of bondage. Now, lest you ask, can we kill, steal? What have you? Paul didn't leave it there, because in Galatians chapter 5, he tells us that we are under the Spirit now, not under the law. And by being under the Spirit tells us what we are to do. Right? The Spirit guides us and tells us what is right from wrong. And once we are under the Spirit, there is no way we can sin. Right? So we don't need a letter anymore, because as a matter of fact, the Spirit brings about things in us that the letter can never achieve. So while the Spirit takes some of the elements of the law, the Spirit also gives additional things that the law cannot provide. Now you understand why in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 that the ministration of the Spirit is being deemed to be an even more glorious ministry. Right? So with that being said, guys, which one of them would you prefer? Would you prefer the law, right, or the Spirit? Hagar or Sarah? I'll leave you to choose. I end this video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And join me later for another amazing video like this. Bye-bye now.